What you eat has more of an impact than you've ever imagined. Each and every one of us has the opportunity to change the world with our food choices. From a personal health standpoint, we now know that eating animal products is linked to cancer, obesity, and heart disease. From an environmental standpoint, the effects of animal agriculture are so monumental, there are just too many to list. Animal agriculture is the leading producer of emissions. That means that putting meat on your table is worse for the environment than driving a vehicle. 80% of the Amazon rainforest has been cut down to grow grain for animal agriculture, which has a massive impact on the health of the planet. According to a UN report in June of 2010, a global shift toward a vegan diet is vital to save the world from hunger, fuel poverty, and the worst impacts of climate change. Perhaps the most disturbing fact is that 82% of starving children live in countries where grain is fed to animals, and the animals are eaten by Western countries. On the bright side, there have been studies that show that living on a plant-based diet reduces your risk of breast cancer, prostate cancer, heart disease, and obesity. And each person who switches to a vegan diet saves 1,100 gallons of water per day, 45 pounds of grain per day, 30 square feet of forested land per day, and 20 pounds CO2 equivalent per day, and one animal's life. That's each person. Since you're listening to this, you're either concerned about your health, the health of the planet, or you care about the way animals are being treated. The beauty is that in caring for ourselves, we can change the future for the planet and everyone and everything living on it. The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the greatest intention. We need to live by example. That's where our true power lies as individuals living together. We need to realize and take responsibility for the fact that each of us has a significant impact on the world. The single most dramatic effect we can have is by eating a vegan diet. I've been living on a plant-based diet for over 25 years. I grew up on a standard American diet, and I was sick a lot as a child. I watched my mother struggle with her weight my whole life. When I was a teenager, I thought food restriction was the only way I was going to stay thin. When my brother died of cancer at 24, I was devastated. I realized that every day counts, and that I wanted to do everything I could for my health and the health of my family. I started educating myself, and it didn't take long before I became vegetarian. But when I went vegan, people constantly questioned whether or not I was getting the nutrients I needed. I felt good as a vegetarian, but after I went vegan, I lost the weight I wanted to lose, and my little health issues all cleared up. That was just the beginning. Changing my diet changed my whole life. I felt better about myself, my relationships improved, and it led me down a new career path. I've discovered that my health is the lens through which I see the world. When I feel good, everything feels better. Life's more joyful. Things are more manageable. Of course, life still happens. There are ups and downs, but I have a different starting point. That's the reason I feel compelled to help anyone considering a plant-based diet. There's still quite a bit of misinformation out there. Fear of not having enough is part of our collective consciousness, which translates in our diet to not getting all the nutrients we need. The truth is, we can pay less attention to what we're eating if it's primarily plant foods. There's no need to track calories, carbs, or fat, because no matter how much plant food you eat, it will never be too much. Plants are loaded with nutrition and easy for our bodies to digest, and they have fiber which helps you feel full while helping the body to get rid of waste. When I tell people I'm vegan, the most common question I get is, where do you get your protein? So periodically over the first 10 years of going vegan, I had my blood tested to make sure my protein levels were sufficient, and they were actually high. Since then, I've come to learn that protein is in everything, and you don't have to eat all the amino acids at the same time. You don't have to eat muscle to make muscle any more than you need to eat bones to make bones or eyes to make eyes. But with all that said, Here are a few digestible, high-protein foods that I recommend. Dark leafy green vegetables, beans, lentils, peas, tempeh, which is cultured beans and grains, and sprouted nuts and seeds. Pumpkin seeds are one of my favorites. And believe it or not, even potatoes are a complete protein. The beautiful thing is each one of these things has so many other health benefits too. They're nature's superfoods and they're easy to digest. Recently I was putting together a diet plan for a detox program I'm creating, and I added up the protein content to discover it had twice the daily RDA, and it's a detox program. It appears that dairy holds the market on calcium, and it's the biggest lie since we thought the earth was flat. Actually, the most digestible calcium comes from plants. Spinach, for instance, has 10 times the amount of calcium as dairy, and it's easy to digest. Dairy, on the other hand, often causes mucus in the body and aggravates allergies while leaching calcium from the bones because of its acidity in the bloodstream. It's also been shown to increase risk of breast and prostate cancer. More and more people are realizing that they're lactose intolerant, and lots of people are just living with it. The first sign that you have a dairy intolerance is digestion upset, which can cause bloating and skin issues. Additionally, dairy is probably a sugar addiction in disguise. 1 cup of cow's milk has 13 grams of sugar. Just like protein, B12 is a common concern for people considering a vegan diet. B12 is a water-soluble vitamin that's a product of bacteria found in soil and water. No animal, plant, or human can make B12. It comes from bacteria. You can get some B12 from chlorella, tempeh, and nutritional yeast. However, I recommend that everyone take a daily whole food supplement with B12, no matter what your diet. It's cheap insurance. Animals who graze in the grass may get it from the soil, but many animals aren't grazing anymore. They're fed grains to make them fat so they get bigger more quickly. As far as feeling satisfied on a vegan diet, there has to be a paradigm shift. Our bodies are totally nourished by plants. It's our habits and our taste buds that can get in the way because they've been bombarded since birth. One thing you can do is reduce your sugar and salt intake. And after about a month of that, you'll have a more keen sense of those flavors. Your taste buds can and will change. We need to eat all the flavors, including salty and sweet, in order to feel satisfied. So it's best to get these from natural sources like fruit for sweet and seaweed or celery for salt. An important thing to recognize in our food consumption behavior is that it's an intimate relationship with the external. Paying attention to how our bodies feel because of what we eat is something we miss. At the beginning, until you get your taste buds and body back to appreciating things in their natural state, you need to eat more variety and add more herbs. Make sure you're eating enough beans, sprouted nuts and seeds, and sprouted grains and legumes so that you feel full and satisfied. These foods take longer to digest than fruit and vegetables. When you top your salad with a cup of beans or lentils and some avocado and a few olives, you have a more satisfying meal. Here's some tips I recommend. First, E3 Live, which is a blue-green algae. I discovered E3 about 10 years ago, and it was a love at first taste. It's delicious in smoothies and very alkaline. It feels good in your body. 2 is chlorella, which is a blue-green algae in tablet form, also highly alkaline and nutrient-dense. It leaches heavy metals out of the body. It's a great travel companion. If healthy food isn't available, you can take a handful of these with your meal. 3, I ask for lemon in my water whenever I go out. Again, alkalizing. The reason I'm pushing for alkalinity is that a lot of things we consume and the stress we endure can produce acidity in the body, which causes inflammation, and that can lead to a variety of illnesses and disease. One way to counteract acidity is with alkalinity through the foods we consume. Use mashed avocado instead of mayonnaise on sandwiches. Avocados are perfect whole food that's also a fat, which we need more of in our diets, and it's delicious. I usually eat an avocado a day. 5, eat the colors of the rainbow. Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine teach us that different nutrients and energies come from different colors. And when we pay attention to eating colors, we pay attention to variety and are therefore more balanced. Number 6, drink green juice. I owned juice bars for 10 years, and incorporating green juice in my diet has made a big difference for me as far as how I feel. It's like a shot in the arm of nutrients because it digests so quickly, and it's a great way to get a mega dose of vegetables without eating them. 7, breakfast can be a hard meal for people to adapt to. I usually make a shake for breakfast with lots of greens and berries. You can also make chia porridge or oatmeal with nut milk like coconut or almond, and top it with some cinnamon, nuts, and fresh berries. Sometimes I have leftovers from lunch or dinner from the day before. 8 is to get rid of the things in your house that you will no longer be eating. And don't let yourself buy these things when you go to the grocery store. Use the momentum you have in your decision to eat a healthy diet to make a clean break. This leads us to number 9, which is if you've had a big meal and you crave something sweet afterward, eat a piece of fruit like an apple sliced up with some cinnamon sprinkled on it, or an orange or a small handful of grapes. 10. The key is to have a plan. That's why I think a great way to transition is with a detox. You'll see results quickly, and when you commit to a detox, you expect to be a little uncomfortable. Being okay with being a little uncomfortable is a huge catalyst for change. If you fall off the path, just get back on, no judgment. The more healthy food you eat, the better you'll feel physically, mentally, and emotionally. I just want to say thank you for considering a vegan diet. Since we live in a capitalist society, what we spend our money on is a vote for what we want to see more of in the world. I love the quote by Helen Keller, "Together we can do so much." Living as a healthy example serves everyone, and it's empowering and inspiring. I experienced countless benefits from going vegan, but the most important one for me is that I became a role model of health for my children, and that branched out to everyone they know and continues to expand. As individuals, where we put our attention and intention is what makes up our life experience. Having what we eat be a time to do that is like several mini meditations throughout the day. I hope this video has contributed to your inspiration to transition to a plant-based diet today. The Buddha said, "The trouble is we think we have time. We can't continue to put our health off until tomorrow." I'm putting together a detox program that will help people detox at the same time they transition to a vegan diet, but you don't have to wait for that. Start today. Every meal counts, just like every moment. I really want to help you if you're considering going vegan. Having a community of like-minded people is something I didn't have when I started out, and I know it would have helped. So please come over to my Facebook page, Lifting the Layers, and leave a comment about why you're considering going vegan or vegetarian. Sending you love and light. Be well.